Greedy 3Ders. Today we're going to do a Warhammer themed model. I know nothing about Warhammer, but I have bought my first Warhammer kit and I'm going to put it together and we'll talk you through the process. Now, if you love Warhammer, I'm so sorry if I've upset you here, because as I say, I know nothing about it, but any comments, any help or any advice you want to give me, I would greatly appreciate that. Stick it in the comments box below. And if you do like what you see and you enjoy the process, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And I'm sure it's not going to be the last Warhammer thing that I make on the channel, so stay tuned. So these are the Warhammer models that I've gone for. I just really like them. I didn't buy them for any particular reason, apart from the fact that if you're of a certain age and you remember Mech Warrior, they kind of reminded me of mechs. So I opened the box up. Now, you know, I've had experience of Airfix kits when I was a lad, but never really experienced these. But wow, the quality of the print quality on these is absolutely astounding, and there's some amazing detail in them, and there's the decals that come with them. We'll come back to them later. They gave me a bit of sleepless nights. A couple of bases. There are two in the pack. I've only made one for this video, but I'm going to make another one soon and do it in a different paint job. But I'm really impressed with the quality. There was quite a lot of parts. They went together absolutely beautifully, so no concerns there whatsoever. Now, it took me about an hour to put it all together, and here's the end result. Most of the glue ended up on my fingers, but some of it held the model together, and like I say, it went together beautifully. The instructions were easy to follow and everything just clipped into where it was supposed to. There's a couple of pieces that I'm going to put on afterwards, but I want to paint them before I put them in situ, and in hindsight there were other bits I should have really painted before I put them on there, but you know, it's a learning curve, isn't it? Okay, over to the air brush with my air primer from Army Painter, and I'm going to give that a jet layer of black all across. Really important for my next step, which is going to be a dry brushing stage. I want to make sure that I get it all blacked, and I dried it all with a hairdryer in between the coats here, just to expedite the process a little bit. And then I took all the other little bits and pieces and gave them a layer of matte black too. That little chainsaw straight out of Gears of War, absolutely loved it. And again, the detail is amazing. You forget how small these things are. They really are tiny, and you realise that when you're painting the small details on them. But you know, so enjoyable painting them. Once you've got your layer of black all over them and they've all been given time to dry, I'm going to start off with the Amiga Blue, and this is part of the Army Painter colour triad series from the Air Mega set, and they're all, these colours complement each other. And if you want to buy these paints, you can get them from the description. I'll put a link there, and I am an Amazon affiliate, and anything you buy there will come back. A little kickback will come back to the channel, but it won't cost you no more. A bit of ultramarine blue is going on, and I'm just highlighting the blue there, and I'm going to further highlight it with this Cosmo Blue just to give it a lighter coat, as you can see in certain areas, just to add a little bit of definition to it and a little bit of character. So once the blue has all been painted, we're going to move on to some shining metal, and I'm going to use that big makeup brush to do the dry brushing on the model. Now again, dry brushing is a fantastic technique to make things look aged, and if you're not quite sure what it is, how to do it, then voila, I've done a video for you. Just check my previous videos which talks about dry brushing and how you can do it. And there we go, that's what it looks like when it's all done. You can see it looks like it's been aged and battered, and the silver effects over the black really does add to its effect. The rest of the components were also given that dry brush technique, and again, I especially like this cleaver, this chainsaw gun. Really liked it. It's one of the things that drew me to the model, to be honest. The little gun on the top of his head, add another coat as well, and they're pretty much done now. Now I'm going to also give a dry brush to the armour that I've painted. Again, I want to give it a little bit of character and a little bit of an aged look, and once I'd done all of those bits and pieces, I'm moving on to weapon bronze. Now I had a little bit of a love affair with weapon bronze. I must have spent 2.5 hours painting the little bits and pieces on this model. The weapon bronze is a lovely paint. Again, it's from the Army Painter range. It just flows on really lovely. It covers really well. There was a couple of occasions where I needed to give it a second coat, but on the whole, one layer tended to do it all. And I found that I used a really sort of narrow brush and I went into all the rivets, all the details, and I just used a little bit of artistic license, I guess, to paint all these bronze pieces on. I don't think there is any definitive way you have to do it. If there is, Warhammer fans, I'm really sorry, but I didn't do that. I just plonked it on where I thought it needed to go. And again, I think that's the fun of making these models, is there's a lot of ad-lib in the paint process that you can do yourself and let your artistic nature kind of take over, really. But the guns especially, I must have spent an hour or so on each gun, just literally touching up the little bits and pieces. I did switch to silver at one stage, and I did some of the almost some dry brushing across the lines and the ridges on it, but on the whole it's been bronzed up, and all the little rivets as well that I had to do really carefully. On the main body, as you can see, most of it has been done now. There's some little bits like that stick out the back of his legs, they were given a coat too, and that was pretty much the painting process done. So he's mostly going to be copper and blue with some grey highlighting. Now I've picked up some of this red paint from Citadel. This is the blood for the blood god, and I'm just going to put some blood on his cleaver. A thick brush, and I'm going to dab it in and flick it on, and it gives a really amazing blood splatter effect. When I show you some close-up details of the cleaver later, I think you'll see just how really well it came out. I did use a brush to just add a few thick pieces of flesh there to the chainsaw bit of it. Now for the base, I've used some Vallejo thick mud. This stuff is great. If you want to use it as mud, you can. If you want to turn it into snow once it's dry, just spray it white. It's really good and thick and wholesome, and it comes out in good old gloops. And all I've done is I've just layered the entire base in some of this mud, and that's going to be the basis of the stand. I am going to do a few more things to it, which we'll discuss in a bit, but I'm just going to splodge it on nice and thick, and don't worry, it does wash off your brushes really easily. Now once that's on, I'm just going to pop the I nearly called him a mech, the Armiger in there, just so I've got his footprint, so I know where he's going to go, and I'm happy with where he is. And I've pushed him back a bit so you can see him right the way through, and I've just picked up some stones out the garden, and I'm going to lay them in just where I see fit, really. And once they're on there, I'm going to take some more of that mud, and I'm just going to cake them in mud just to seal them in a little bit and to give them a bit of dirty character. Now, using the Army Painter Battlefields basing kit, which I think is a marvellous addition, I'm going to take some stick-on tufts of grass, and I'm just going to randomly pop them around the base as well. Again, just use your eye, pop them where you think they need to go, and if you don't like them, move them. It's as simple as that. They'll stick, they're self-adhesive anyway, but they'll stick to the mud really well. And then once I've done that, I've just taken some of the snow that comes with the kit, and I've just sprinkled it over the top. I just push it down a little bit into the mud just to help it stick, but that's the base pretty much done. Now I could have sprayed it with white, and I did contemplate doing it. I did think about putting some pools of water on it, but I'm quite happy with how it's come out, and I think it will show off the Armiger really well. Now, taking some of this Tesseract Glow Green, I'm just going to touch his eyes up. I just want those bits to stick out, and I also want the bit on the top as well, just to have a little bit, just to make it look a little bit different on the top and take away from the sort of blue and the grey that you can see. So I've just painted a dollop of that across the top there. It's almost like a light, I guess, isn't it, or some kind of whatever they have. Now these decals, oh my god, I hated doing these. If you can tell me a good way of doing them, which doesn't make me want to pull what little hair I've got out, please let me know in the comments. But I did not enjoy putting these on. I'm sure I'm doing it wrong, and there's a real easy way to do it, but I did not enjoy this bit. I got them on, or I got a selection of them on. Where they're supposed to go, I really am not too sure. Again, I'm sure there's a guide somewhere, but I just followed my eye and popped them on where I wanted to. But this was probably the least enjoyable part of the process for me, and I did waste a couple with sheer frustration, just losing them in the process. Gloss varnish for the two little bits that I painted green with the Tesseract green just for his eyes, and the little bit on the top. And I am going to call this model done. Hope you enjoy it, hope you like what you see, and don't forget to subscribe to Greedy 3D.